Good morning, mamas. My name is Brooke Jean, and I'm with Brooke Jean Counseling and Coaching. And one of my passions is supporting mommy's mental health. And this year, I am doing an interview series where each month I am interviewing an expert that also is passionate about and supports mama's mental health. So today, I'm very thrilled to announce that we're kicking off the series with Terra LaRock. She is the founder and CEO of Mindful Mamas and the Mindful Mamas app, where we're going to talk all things mindfulness. So in my personal and professional experience, mindfulness has been a key component to working towards optimal well-being and just mental health in general. So Terra, thank you so much for being here. Why don't we just jump right in and you tell us a little bit about who you are and the Mindful Mamas?
That sounds so good. Well, thank you so much for having me. This is like the perfect way to start my day. I feel like I eat, breathe, and just sleep and ooze out my love for mindfulness and meditation because it was something that did not come easily for me. I had a lot of resistance to it at first, and now that I've kind of claimed it as one of my self-care practices, I have really been so proud of the transformation that it's given me. So thank you for having me on. I'm Terra LaRock, and I'm a child, family, and school psychologist. That's really how I got my start with mindfulness. Was I always used it as a therapeutic approach when I was working with my families and students, but I didn't adopt a daily practice for myself until I was really in the thick of it with being a new mom. So I had my daughter in 2015. She's beautiful, but oh man, she was a hard baby. Colicky, cried 2 hours a night. It was very challenging on myself, on my husband, on our family unit. It was really tough. And then when I returned back to work, I was dealing with a lot of other people's trauma and other people's crises that it almost kind of became this blend where I couldn't differentiate between what I was going through as a new mom and then what these other families are going through. And I got hit really hard with postpartum depression and OCD, and there was so much shame. I mean, I think there's this stigma that we're all, you and I as professionals are trying to break through to alleviate, but then, when it happens and you're told like it's not your fault and you're not broken, it's okay, it can be really hard to hear that. And so there was still that shame around it, especially as a mental health provider where I was clinically trained to help others cope with these types of things, and I couldn't even use the toolbox to identify or help myself. And so I struggled alone for a while, and I wish I didn't. I knew that it didn't have to be that way, but that's what happened to me. And I got this, as I started kind of getting out of the fog of things, I started to realize there were so many other women out there who were just as lost and just as blindsided as I was. And so I really feel like, through some of my brokenness, I just found this breakthrough of what my passion is and where my skill set could serve others, and that really is in the mom world. Because if we don't start with the moms, then who are we going to start with? The moms help raise the babies, they help shape our society, and it really has to be a shift from what we're telling new moms that they need in motherhood to really helping them prepare for and cultivate how they want to be in motherhood.
Mm. And so from there, from your own kind of pain and suffering, you turned that into a passion of providing just a way for mamas to take care of themselves and their mental health. So let's roll into the mindfulness piece. Why is mindfulness so important for mommy's mental health?
Well, I think there is this conversation around self-care that just like irks me. I remember being told to like get a massage after I had my baby, or to like go get my nails done to feel better. And I just felt like those were patronizing band-aids that didn't get at the root cause of really how I was feeling and how I was associating my thoughts and my feelings with my experience as a woman, as a wife, and as a mother. And mindfulness was one of those things that helped me kind of peel back the layers of anxiety and of intrusive, unwanted thoughts that were a result of having OCD and being kind of in that mental loop where I would catastrophize everything. I'd feel really anxious and starting to really understand and love my mind. My mind was something that I avoided like the plague. I mean, even before I had depression, I was always so prideful about being so busy, and I never really wanted to slow down. I was that woman in yoga where I would love to do the yoga and I'd love to do the power poses, but then when they put you in savasana and they're like, still your mind, I wanted to run, like bolt out of there as quickly as I possibly could. It was like, my mind does not still. There is no getting rid of these thoughts. Like they have their own system and their own, like, just just like way of being that I didn't think that it was possible for me to be able to sit with my thoughts in a way that didn't scare the living crap out of me.
Yeah.
So that really was one of the things that I saw with mindfulness is it is this way of getting still, of tuning into your thoughts, of having awareness of your body sensations, having awareness of your emotions, and befriending them in a way that allows you to meet them where they're at, to meet you where you are, to have some self-compassion and gratitude. And then all of a sudden, I just felt like the layers of these, really difficult feelings and thoughts that I had, I didn't take onus over them anymore. They weren't all of me. They were there and I had to deal with them and I had to say, oh, hi, I see you. But they weren't my story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tell clients all the time, like, you don't have to jump on those thoughts like they're the truth train.
Yeah, yeah.
And because when we jump on the thought as if it's true, that sends a hormone through our brain and that tells our body to respond. And, I love what you said about self-care isn't always a massage or this event, because when mommies hear that, when they're already overwhelmed, exhausted, fried at every angle, it feels like it's another thing on our to-do list that we don't have,
Mhm.
and it doesn't resolve the deeper issue. And what I love about the work that you've done is you've created things that are very quick, simple, and accessible that become habitual, that I think does more deeper healing and provides real relief to some of these things that we're talking about today. And you know, the power of taking a pause, people I think minimize that, but it's in that little moment of stillness or of a breath that we actually have an opportunity to go in a different direction that could have a much larger result for how we feel.
Oh,
So,
yeah. I always say, like, whenever I have one of those, oh, sorry, you can bleep me out if this is inappropriate, but those oh shit moments where I'm like, things are going to disarray. I really like use that opportunity to be like, oh, shift. Like, this is my opportunity to shift into a space where I'm responding in a way that I can be proud of. And then sometimes I'm not able to do that and I still lose it or I still have a mommy meltdown. And then it's all about repairing the relationship, giving myself some grace, repairing the relationship with my kid if it was because I got frustrated with her or my son or my husband. And so mindfulness really is about getting in those little sips of self-care throughout your day where you're not tacking on one more thing to your to-do list. And Mindful Mamas, the app that we've created, is really going to help women bring the practical tools and the richness of guided meditations and of mindfulness out of your app and into your life. And I can't wait for women to see this. And I'm so excited that this is going to exist for our mamas because I know I needed it. I still need it. I mean, my mindfulness practice is everything to me.
I love that. And I love that tip of oh shift.
Yeah.
I feel like we can all relate to
Mhm.
the oh shit and the oh shift. So I love that. One of
Mhm.
the topics that is very near and dear to my heart, and I think mamas want to hear about, is what are some mindful things or mindfulness tips and techniques, or how can we leverage mindfulness to help with anxiety?
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, I think we live in a very anxiety unconscious world where we're not attached to our bodies. We're very cerebral. We're in our thoughts. We're thinking about our to-do lists. We get like we feel like we get like badges of honor when we're productive, or we're like slaying it, or like crushing our goals. But that starts to catch up to you. It really does. And mindfulness and anxiety, they there is a relationship there that I discovered that really helped me. And so, part of the thing that we like to do with women who are experiencing anxiety is we don't want to just go from a state of arousal to all of a sudden you just need to sit with yourself and be quiet and try to calm down. Sometimes that can even fester up some more anxiety or kind of make your fight or flight system just like want to bolt. And
Mhm.
so a lot of the anxiety tips that we give women when we're working through our anxiety series with mindfulness in particular, when you are in that heightened state, is doing some things to down regulate to that stillness. So not going from like way up here to just, down here. Taking some steps that help you down regulate your nervous system and to kind of get you shifting that energy in your body to where you are able to access a slower way of being. And so we do like a lot of shaking or bouncing or just a body scan where we're really noticing where we're feeling that tension the most and working with that instead of against it. um Anxiety is tough because I think it is one of those things that are we're conditioned to just accept that we are supposed to feel anxious, that this is what it's like, that you know this is how life is. It's just busy and it's stressful. And so with anxiety, I really try to tell women that there is a way to, at the end of the day, before you just plop down and like tune into Netflix, to take those steps as you're picking up the house or as you're putting on your PJs, to just tune into the way that the material feels as you're putting on your pajamas, to notice the way that it smells before you put it on, to pick up something that's your child's favorite toy and to try to picture or imagine a beautiful thought associated with it. To do those little pauses as you start to get ready for bed and like settle in for the night can really make all the difference.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. I agree. A lot of times people, when they are becoming dysregulated in their anxiety, get really frustrated that some of the, traditional coping skills that we've learned throughout our time don't bring us down, and then that creates like a frustration or a fear around what's really happening to me. So I like the downshift, and also just the mindful movement, right? Anxiety is an energy that
Mhm.
needs to be moved through the body.
Yes.
And so I love that shaking. I haven't done that one yet before, so I love it. The downshift.
Yeah, you kind of feel silly.
Yeah. Like it
I said
feels
you kind of
better
feel
now.
silly. Like, I mean, I'll be at the sink, like before I do dishes, and I'll notice like I'm feeling kind of pent up, and I'm just not really able to kind of lock in and be present. And so I'll do some bouncing, and I'll do some shaking, and I'll do some wiggling, and I'll just try to move some of that through before I move into the task of doing the dishes. And then while I'm doing the dishes, I am very intentional. I'll run my hand under the water for a minute and just close my eyes and feel like, where can I feel the water on my hands and what's the temperature like? And that's really where, my company and just like my values are very grounded in, is we don't want to tell moms that they have to tack on yet another thing to do. We really want to bookmark the things that you are already doing, but in a way where you're filling yourself up so you don't feel so depleted at the end of the day. And that's really where we're trying to enter into the space of motherhood, is just micro changes. It's micro changes that make all the difference, and you don't have to start with this huge elaborate self-care plan. It can be little by little, and you start to notice that as you do these little micro changes and you're getting in these sips of self-care, you start craving longer space with yourself. And then it doesn't feel so like, you don't feel resistance to it. I mean, at first, to get me to sit down and meditate for 30 minutes, oh my gosh, you had to like drag me. I would rather clean the toilet than like try to sit down for 30 minutes and meditate. Like, I would avoid it like the plague. And now I crave that space. And with Mindful Mamas, we don't have any exercise that takes longer than 10 minutes, besides like some of our sleep series where we're trying to really get you into that deep sleep. But we know, we get it, you're busy, and you really can reap the benefits of mindfulness and meditation, whether you have 60 seconds or 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's really important to mention, because one of the topics that Mama's brought my attention to is, how do we turn these sips of wellness or sips of mindfulness, sips of self-care, as you said, into a habit? How do we sustain this? And I like what you said around, well, number one, when they're already part of what we're doing, we're not doing anything extra,
No.
and they're small and they don't take a ton of time. And if you do it long enough to reap the benefit, which, mamas, if you pause right now and just take 3 deep breaths and notice kind of your 5 senses, what you can see and smell, I think you would notice that it feels better than how you felt before you did that. So my point is, it doesn't take too long to reap the benefit, but when you reap the benefit, that becomes the motivator to keep going, to create the habit, to create the lifestyle, to create the sustainable change, and maybe not even change, but just consistent self-care in this way.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of opportunities too that I found where mindfulness like woke me up to the moments where I was maybe locking in and trying to control things, where I could let go a little bit. I mean, I think any mom with like a 3-year-old knows how difficult it is to get them out the door. And when you say hurry, that little brains means like, oh, I'm going to grab a favorite baby doll, and then I'm going to take 20 minutes to put on my shoes. And then when I finally get my shoes on, I don't want to wear those shoes. I want to wear other shoes. And so I would, get so like, just like stressed out and locked into that. And now I'm noticing that as my mindfulness practice deepened, I use those opportunities where like, I'll get my daughter ready, here are your shoes. These are the shoes you want to wear. Mom's going to go step outside. Just come out when when you're ready. I can keep her at an eyesight through the window, but I might just go outside and stand right by the door and look, at her, and then take a second to scan, like, what leaves do I notice? What's the temperature like? Oh, I feel the sun on my face. That feels so good. And I take a breath. And then when she comes out, I'm not like, on her for taking so long. I just took a moment for myself. And then we can, join as 2 separate entities and go with our day. So mindfulness for me really helped me relinquish some of that control and find those moments where I was like very inflexible, and create that space for myself where then it's like that spiral, because once you get frustrated with your kid about their shoes, and then they won't get in their car seats, and then you're mad because you can't find a parking spot, and it just can really derail your whole day. So that's really where I've seen the biggest change, with making mindfulness a part of my day instead of something that I have to do at the end of the day. Super helpful.
That is great. That's so relatable. That story about won't get the shoes on and then wants to change the shoes. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And I also want to say, part of making this a habit that you look forward to, or that really provides for you, mamas, is when you do have a mama meltdown or a mama moment that doesn't go as planned, just noticing it, And like Tara said earlier, having some grace for yourself and having compassion and gently redirecting to try again, just like you would do with your kiddos. Like, this isn't about getting it right every time going forward. This is going to be a practice, something that you work on and work towards, but it's going to feel really good when you can leverage these tools. But don't be too hard on yourself when we fall back into old ways, because at the end of the day, I feel like our kids trigger our nervous system more than we talk about. And sometimes before we know it, we're having a moment that we're not proud of. We're shouting, we're saying something, or we're avoiding or whatever, because we're literally in like a fight, flight, or freeze state. So try these things, and when they don't feel accessible to you, or you do have a moment you're not proud of, gently redirect without the guilt, without the shame, without the critical voice and the judgment, and try again. Because even just trying these things on has such a beautiful ripple effect inside of you and your mental health, inside of your family, inside of our communities. And like, I just think it's amazing when mamas are even trying this stuff.
Oh, yeah. I think one thing that really helps is whatever you're feeling, they say it's temporary, like it will pass. And so one grounding statement that I use often is, I'm feeling anxious right now, and that's okay.
Mm.
Or I'm feeling frustrated right now, and that's okay. And just that right now tells my brain that this isn't going to be forever, that this is just something that's coming up, that's part of the human experience that every human can understand and relate to, and that's okay. And so that tip, I've worked on that phrase for a long time, and I say it to myself daily. If there is a moment that's hard, that's frustrating, that feels uncomfortable, I always tack on right now, and that's okay.
That's great. That's so helpful. How do you bring your kiddos into this? How do we, because their little systems get dysregulated really easily, and it's very normal for their development, but how can we teach these practices to our kids?
It's incredible what your kids notice about you. They're watching and they're absorbing, and their little mirror neurons, like, when I yawn, you yawn. Those are mirror neurons at work. And so like a lot of our kids, especially the younger ones, use those mirror neurons to attune to our way of being and our nervous system. And if you can just model and verbalize for them, it's so amazing to see what they start picking up on. Like, for example, I can talk about, this with my daughter. She's 4 now. And if I do feel frustrated, I'll say it out loud. I'll say, mommy's feeling really frustrated. And so I'm just going to walk over to the window, and I'm going to look outside, and oh, I see your, little blue water pail. I can't wait for spring to come. And okay, now I'm going to put my hands on my chest, and I'm going to take a deep breath, and then I'm going to come back and I'll try again. And I think just verbalizing what I'm doing and how I'm working through those things is so invaluable for our children. And all of a sudden you'll start seeing them adopt some of your habits and some of your vocabulary. I mean, my daughter will sometimes look at me when I'm starting to kind of go in a little spiral, and she'll say, "Mommy, I think you need to hesitate," is what she calls it. I think it's so genius, because it is all, like, starts to be in your
Meditate.
head. And she'll say, "Mommy, I think you need to hesitate." And I'll say, "Honey, that's a really great idea. Can you help me? What should I do first?" And I'll see her like put her hands on my chest, or say, "Mommy, like, be a beauty finder. Like, go, like, let's look for something that's in our house that just brings us joy and brings us beauty." And those aren't things that I had to explicitly teach her. I just modeled them for her, and she picked it up. And with Mindful Mamas, when the app is live, like, for every stage in motherhood, we're launching with a Mommy and Me meditation, where you can just invite your kid to come in and do it with you. Same with partners, in relationships, and trying to enhance that intimacy or that deeper connection and compassion for each other. It's all about just inviting them, not forcing, not, like if I don't teach explicitly every single day, they're not going to get it. But modeling is the easiest thing that you possibly can do. And it also reinforces your practice too. When you verbalize it out loud and you say things like, you're pushing the shopping cart and it's bunk and the wheel doesn't work and it's like, and you're like, I hate this shopping cart. Like I've had those moments, and then I look at my daughter and I'm like, you know what? That's a little problem. I'm going to just take a minute and I'm going to just sit right here. I'm going to just take a deep breath. Okay, I feel a little bit better. Let's go find a new shopping cart. It's all about modeling, I believe.
That is so cute that she says hesitate.
I know. It's adorable. I want to remember it forever.
I feel like you need to trademark that.
I know, right?
So I feel like that's a beautiful transition into the app. So tell us a little bit more about the Mindful Mamas app, the launch date, where people can find it, and the special that you're offering right now for the pre-order.
It's so exciting. So my partner, Karina, she is a mindfulness teacher, a doula, parent educator. She teaches anxiety and yoga at the university level in Oregon, and she's the top narrator of the #1 yoga app called Down Dog. And so I don't know how I landed her, but we've started this journey almost 2 years ago together, and basically, created. We have over 400 pieces of content. We're launching with 200 guided meditations that are about 10 minutes. The app's going to have mini pauses, which are 1 to 3 minute exercises, like I was talking about with like the pajamas, or noticing the water when you're doing the dishes, or, doing a parking lot pause, just these little things you can do within your day anytime to get in some self-care and some mindfulness. We have breathing techniques, we have mantras, we have a space where you can actually record your own mantras and create your own little library, which is so fun. My daughter has, because we have the app on our phone, it's not live yet for the public, but we have it on our phone. My daughter will create her own mantras and like name them. And it's a really interactive app that keeps you coming back for more, because there's so many things that you can access throughout your day where you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to be in a quiet room to access it. You don't need to even be, like in like the sanctuary that sometimes I feel like people think that they need in order to do mindfulness and meditation. You can just get those little sips throughout the day with the app, and it's so beautiful. We like to call it our virtual sanctuary. So what differentiates us is we grow with you. So we think motherhood is not a one size fits all. We believe it's a developmental stage, just like we have adolescence and toddlerhood. Like every stage of motherhood deserves a unique set of skills and a unique set of pain points that we should be acknowledging. So whether you're trying to conceive, or you just said, goodbye to your son for college, like we have these tracks called motherhood stages where there's specific content catered for you that can grow with you. So you'll never outgrow the content. It'll always be evolving and celebrating you as a mother, moving through what we call matrescence, which is the developmental stage of motherhood. And yeah, we're available for pre-order right now. So you can listen to some samples and get a feel for everything that we have. One of my things that I just absolutely love about the app is we have this button called Get Centered. So you talk about those moments where you don't really know what you need, but you need something. You can just click this button, and it's really a short list of curated exercises that you can do for like a panic attack, or after your kid has a tantrum, or when you can't sleep, or when you need to like call back your power and just feel like you got this and you're grounded. I wish I could just like show it to you. It's so beautiful. But so we're available for pre-order now, and we're offering 50% off an annual subscription. So when it goes live on the App Store for both Android and iOS on March 19th, which is the first day of spring, which we love because it's all about growth growth and renewal and, things kind of coming back alive. So March 19th, you can get it on the app. You can download it for free. You get a 7-day trial. If you pre-order now, it's $39.99 for the entire year. And then we go live, we're doing $11.99 a month or $79.99 for the year.
That's amazing. So, mamas, I have been able to get a sneak peek of this app, and it's so beautifully and thoughtfully done that I've already placed my pre-order. I cannot wait to use it as a mama. I cannot wait to weave it into the work that I do with mamas. I'm going to post the link of where you can take a look and look at the pre-order option in the comments below this post, so you all can have access to it. But it really is, I feel like it's going to be a game changer for mamas. And it's pretty and it's functional and it feels just special. It really feels special. So, Terra, I so appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today, and just want to thank you for the meaningful work that you and Karina and your team are putting out into the universe. I think this is so important. And, I'm always going to be working toward becoming a mindful mama. And you guys, also, I want to say that if you go to the Mindful Mamas website, there's other beautiful tools and things there too. So I had bought the Alchemize Anxiety bundle and thought it was fabulous. So there was some meditation, there was some movement, there were some yoga poses, and it was really beautiful. So lots of tools that are so helpful coming from the Mindful Mamas. And just thank you, Terra, for being here.
Yeah, it's so nice to connect with all of you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments. I will come back and answer any question that you have, and come say hi to us on social. And we're just so excited. Thank you for having me, Brooke.
Yes, so that's a really great point, you guys. Terra is going to be kind of the resident expert in mindfulness. And even though she is a busy mama, she will answer questions if you guys have specific questions for her about any of the stuff we talked about today.
Yeah.
Or anything that we didn't cover. So may your day be mindful, may your day be beautiful, and we will talk to you all soon.
Bye. Thank you.